Love and honor are verbs. They also are gifts from God. They're actions. Love and honor are required of every disciple of Jesus Christ. Whether loving and honoring from a distance and or loving and honoring up close, disciples of Jesus Christ are called to love and honor. Choose love today. Love for God, love for self, love for others. Love will lead to the way to honor. How to honor yourself, your parents, your children, elders, neighbors, strangers, whomever. Now, I know we don't always like those who we are called to love. You know, what does Smokey Robinson say in one of his songs? You know, I don't like you, but I love you. That is so true. But the Spirit of the Lord will give us a strategy of how to love those needed to be loved, whether we are loving them up close or at a distance. We should not allow anyone, though, to trick us in any way into their version of loving and honoring. You know, people have their version of what that looks like. That's their version. Loving and honoring someone looks differently in the minds of people. So, you know, we just have to understand that there are various ways to express love. We can show it differently. Doesn't mean we don't love. But love will always be authentic and do what love is supposed to do, and so will honor. We give honor to whom honor is due. Now, what gets in the way of loving and honoring in an authentic way is selfishness and just being self-centered, you know, thinking about our feelings and having our way, having that tunnel vision, thinking that someone does not even love us sometimes, you know, because we have in our mind our perception, which is our reality of what love looks like and what it should be. You know, honestly, that could be so warped because as we live, we learn what love looks like. You know, as we be around other people, we see what real love is and what it's not. Experience will show us what love is and what it's not. So we have to be careful because just relying on just totally on the limitations that we have, we could be so far from the truth and just have such a warped perception. So we have to really be careful and just try to be not so limited, but get out there and see. You know, one of the things I have to say, I'm blessed, more than fortunate. I am blessed. I've been blessed to be a part of different environments, accepted by different families, and to see how they love on each other. Now, don't get me wrong. I am not saying that these families are perfect. There are no perfect people, so you know there are no perfect families because families are made of people. But I have to say, I've seen enough of dysfunction in families, and every family has their stuff or level of dysfunction. But what I've learned is how people in a family decide to handle the dysfunction and conquer it and work through it, as opposed to allowing it to fester and continue and move into another generation. I've seen cousins and second cousins and all not even know each other or have false and warped perceptions of each other because of generational mess. But I have to also say I've been blessed to see families work through dysfunctions and just love on each other in different ways. And it's a blessing to witness, I'll tell you. Now, in love, we have to also have reciprocity. Learn that it's great to give. It is better to give, oh yes, than to receive. Yes, love is about giving. God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, best gift ever. And God is always giving. Every time we wake up, there's a sun. He's giving us heat. He's giving us light. He's giving us life. It's about giving. But in relationships, there should be giving on all parts, not just one. Because even in our relationship talking to disciples of Christ, we know that it's not just about we don't just thank God because of what he gives. We ought to be givers too. And we ought to be thankful that we can give back to him what he's given to us. God doesn't need anything we have, but he teaches us about love through giving. And so we give to God, and as we give to God, we give to others. God tells us, if you love me, you will obey my commands. Not some of them, all of them. I know some are a little hard to accept, but all of them. He tells us to love him. First commandment out of hundreds, not 10, hundreds. He tells us to love him with all, not some, all of our heart, all of our mind, and all of our being. So relationships should have reciprocity. Be leery if you're always giving. You're always the giver, and people try to shame you or make you feel uncomfortable because you're not continuing to give because they're not loving you back. They just want the stuff you have and not you. That's a podcast right there. But understand true love, especially in a relationship, you see that there's reciprocity. Now, there are times you're not in relationship with people and you just give and you move on about your business. And you should give because you want to give, not because I want this and that from you. To some degree, we should want to be loved back. You don't want to be in a relationship with a spouse where you're doing all the giving and they're not into you. You don't want to be a parent where you see that you've given not just material things, but your time, your affection, and your child is just not there for you ever. And parents, you do have to pour in, because the truth of the matter is you were here first. And children, none of us asked to come here. And when we're here, it's your responsibility to do what you're supposed to do so you can get that love and honor later on down the road. I like something that, while I'm on that note, something that I came across years ago from Denzel Washington and First Lady Sarita Jakes, the wife of Bishop Jakes. Quote, I got the quote from Denzel. He says, quote, you can't expect any good to come to you if you don't visit any good on your son or daughter. End of quote. Now see, just because you birth someone doesn't mean you just automatically, hey, you better do this for me, whatever. There are parents who just don't even show up. You may be there physically, but you don't show up emotionally. You don't show up spiritually. You're just not there. I've seen friends whose both parents were in the home and they walked away, just empty because their parents weren't really there for them. Learn to celebrate your children. Pour love into them. Show them, apologize to them when you're wrong. Learn to be affectionate, Don't expect all this back when you never really bonded and connected with them emotionally, and then expect all of this 30, 40 years later. I tell you, you have to pour into your children. Now, Sarita Jakes' quote, I don't have exacts, I'm going to paraphrase it. She basically says, parents, don't expect much from children you have not nurtured or invested in. That leads me to investing. Love will always have real authentic love will have reciprocity. It'll also be about investing. Invest in those you love, and you will see a return. Yes, you will. I'm not talking about loyalty. It borderlines that, but when you invest, you'll be surprised how people will show up for you. Teachers, invest in your students. You'll be amazed at how they will show up for you and show out for you. If you don't know how to love, ask the Lord to show you. He will gladly do it because he is love, and that's what he wants us to do. Learn to love today. Reciprocate with love. Invest for love. Choose love today.